Obligatory disclaimer, the following is a terrible person's equally terrible opinion.
Hey friends, are you tired of feeling energized, motivated, and youthful? Do you ever long for a time where you can count on feeling irritable, sick, and lethargic every second of every day? Is the chemical compound that's vital for all forms of life, otherwise known as water, too passé for your taste? Don't you feel like at times that you want in deep enough debt already and want your non-existent money to go to waste in the most unglamorous way possible? Then may I be the one to introduce you to soda. Or pop, if you're a goddamn Farouk or something. In all seriousness, I don't think soda needs any introduction. It's everywhere, and there's no escaping it. You'll find it in virtually any public facility that has ever existed. Ever. Bus stops, schools, movie theaters, courthouses, airports, the DMV, the fucking morgue for all I know. And ironically, gymnasiums and hospitals. Now that I think about it, almost half the advertisements I've ever seen in my entire life are dedicated towards the sale of this stuff. So, what's so bad about it in the first place? I mean, everybody's drinking it. It's ingrained itself so thoroughly in our culture that you're the odd one out if you've never consumed it. And as we all know, if everyone is doing something, that must mean there's nothing wrong with it at all. And even entertaining the idea means that there's something wrong with you. That being said, there's certainly something wrong with me, cause I'll tell you why it's so fucking bad in just 2 words. Corn syrup. AKA Antichrist elixir. It's the fatal ingredient that finds itself at home in all kinds of foodstuffs in this great country of mine, and it ranks right up there with soy, microplastics, and seed oils as the leading cause of the general malaise we've been experiencing as of late, or as is more popularly known by a shockingly astute media, brain fog. Dude, I'm serious. If you wanted to subdue and humiliate a healthy fighting-age population without actually fighting them, you know, because you're a weak bastard who relies on trickery and deception to survive in the real world, lacing their foods and especially their drinks with corn syrup would occur no later than step 3 on your sneaky hand-rubbing, cat-stroking, mustache-twirling plot to take over the world. I'm making this video about soda in particular because I think its consumption is the least warranted. You know, I can't blame people for eating yogurt, granola bars, or bread. You know, products that are commonly thought of as healthy, or at the very least benign. Now, those poor ignorant saps just haven't mastered the elusive art of reading the backside of their packages to look for the satanic scraps lurking in their food, so let's just hope that they're not employed in something like teaching, or really anything that requires you to be literate. But soda's anything but benign. I don't think anyone out there would deny that. Like, no one's gonna believe that drinking soda is gonna lead to you becoming a paragon of health, machismo, and badassery. Quite the contrary, actually. Why else would these soda companies feel the need to create diet versions of their flagship products? I mean, it's not for the caffeine boost, right? You know, there's already an entire redundant chain of syrup-infested beverages, otherwise known as store-bought coffee, to fulfill that purpose. Hey, do I hear a topic for a future video? Nah, most people drink it just 'cause it tastes good, I guess. Okay, fine, fair enough. So, which one do they prefer? If the volume of advertisements anything to go off of, you'd think that Coca-Cola would be the near unanimous answer. Like, if you saw a soda ad today, chances are it's for Coke. See a vending machine at any location ever, regardless of the venue or country, it's guaranteed to have Coke. Without a poll asking everyone across the world what the most recognizable logo is, Coca-Cola is going to make the top 5 or even top 3 easily. And it's probably more recognizable than the crucifix. Its popularity is so unrivaled that here in the South you can actually hear the term Coke being used as a generic name for any kind of soft drink. That's insane. That's the equivalent of calling any kind of puzzle game ever invented Tetris. So, yeah, Coke's the #1 pick, right? Well, not according to the blind taste tests. See, back in the day, Pepsi did some crafty marketing and got most people who would have normally said otherwise to admit that their drug of choice was Pepsi, not Coke, in what they called the Pepsi Challenge. And I gotta hand it to them, that's pretty clever. You know, when given the choice between 2 heart-stopping formulas that, for all intents and purposes, are pretty much the same exact thing. Of course the brand loyalists are gonna say they want the real thing trademarked, only to embarrass themselves in front of their friends and family by betraying their sworn loyalty to Big Coke. And for anyone saying that I'm being hyperbolic in terms of how important the brand is to these people, let me just say for the record that I'm not. In response to the Pepsi challenge, Coke decided to tweak their original formula to better resemble and surpass Pepsi's according to all those, super scientific taste tests, but it backfired spectacularly. Not because the consumers disliked the taste of new Coke, again, quite the contrary. No, they were just upset by the new look, and by the fact that the original one was no longer on the shelf. And, look, it's one thing to be disappointed by the fact that your favorite multi-billion-dollar faceless corporation is no longer supporting your favorite carcinogenic beverage that's better suited for cleaning toilets, but if you're at the point where you are taken to the streets and crafting signs in protest, you seriously need to take a step back and reevaluate your life. But that's exactly what people did. En masse. Sincerely. And dude, it never gets any less stupid no matter how many times you try rationalizing it. Our children will never know refreshment. That is an actual quote, written on an actual sign by what I'm assuming is an actual human being. I don't know, the statement's so profoundly idiotic, a part of my brain just refuses to accept a thinking person could not only have enough temerity to process such a thoughtless thought, but fucking write it down and go out in public with it and forever be associated with that quote. This person could have been, an industry plant manufactured by Coke themselves. Who fucking knows? There was even a guy called Gay Mullins who orchestrated a suit, a fucking actual formal class action lawsuit against Coke over the changes in their formula. Needless to say, he failed. I could just leave it there and not even make fun of that because, the stupidity speaks for itself. But according to the paltry research I dug up for this god-awful video, Mr. Mullins actually took the blind taste test twice, and both times he either couldn't tell the difference between New Coke and Coke Classic, or preferred New Coke over the crap he went to court for. What a goddamn clown. How is this fool's name not synonymous with brain-melting folly? He's literally called gay. I digress. Probably the most telling part about this New Coke fiasco was the number of calls the Coke hotline got of people just bawling their frickin' eyes out like a bunch of freshly circumcised newborns. Honest to God, pleading, begging their corporate overlords to bring the old formula back as if they lost a dead relative. That's bizarre. Dystopian. Did people in the 80s just seriously not have anything better to do? I'm a miserable frickin' loser who lives by himself in a one-bedroom apartment making terrible videos no one will ever watch, and even I'm living with more dignity than these so-called respectable adults with stable incomes and growing families. What a total frickin' embarrassment, man. I mean, like imagine the rest of the world just pointing and laughing at the States because of how fucking childish they were acting. Oh, boo fucking who. My precious formula is no longer available, so now I'm gonna have to switch to something that I actually prefer. So what happened in the end? Well, Coke brought the original back. Or did they? Yeah, it turns out they actually altered the original formula anyway by replacing the cane sugar with the corn syrup, but that didn't matter to the brand loyalists. Leave it to the people complaining about the formula changing to be A-okay with the formula being changed. But I mean, why should it matter to them? It was proven that their taste preferences were totally arbitrary and relative next to the branding. And so long as they saw the classic logo and the classic branding, they tasted the classic formula. It makes me wonder why Coke didn't just cut costs even further and replace the formula with diarrhea. I mean, given how poorly the core consumers could distinguish it from its competitors, I don't think changing the formula that drastically would have been an issue. Anyway, scholars point to this event as sort of a watershed moment in American history, for it was the first example of a big public outcry against one of their most beloved institutions. I say different. They were worshipping their institution. All that outcry and that protesting, that wasn't because they were sick of Coke's bullshit. That's all they ever wanted. They were merely upset because their bullshit was slightly altered to better suit their taste in the first place. And let me just remind you this far into the video, okay? All of this emotion is over a product. Dude, this is just the second video I'm doing this crap, and I'm already starting to notice a recurrent theme. So, yeah, as is the case with the Disney video and any other subsequent video I make where I'm being mean to people for just enjoying things, let me make it clear that they're not simply enjoying things, alright? At the end of the day, these things are the brainchildren of corporate suits designed to siphon as much money as possible from the gullible masses. They're not immortal entities that are meant to be cherished forever and ever. It's not a religion or a fetish, nor should it be. And like I said, if you're at the point where you're out on the streets begging for the Matrix to bring your precious product back, you are a victim of predatory advertising. God help you when the state bombards you with propaganda. It's, not like they're the same thing or anything like that. I'm going to bed. Bye-bye.